Well, hello and welcome to the Super Connector Show, where I'm delighted to be joined by my good friend John Forth, who is a business advisor at the Northeast BIC, but also one of the co-founders of Is This You? Hi, John. How are you doing?
Hey Paul, I'm good, thanks. You'll be sick of me. I've just left you from a platform event, so hello again.
No, good, always good to see you. Yeah, I'm trying to raise my energy levels because you've always got loads of energy, but after doing an event, my energy levels are usually pretty high. So we've been this morning. We've been at the platform event in Sunderland, which you came along to. So great to see you there. But you've spoken at that event before. You've been a big supporter, not just of the platform events, but the startup and scale up week events as well. But do you just want to say a little bit about you and what you do in both your roles that I mentioned before?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I'm a business advisor for the Northeast BIC. So I work with some startup, but mainly businesses that are growing and innovating in Sunderland. And the BIC have a whole host of support services, as well as lots of business space. So we've got everything from incubator units right the way through to huge warehouses. We've got 14 acres of business space and about 140 businesses on site. But that's my part-time role, and my other part-time role is founder and a co-founder and coach with Is This You? So we are a performance development company working with CEOs and business founders to really, make sure that they are maximizing their potential in their business and in their lives. We work with the teams as well within those businesses. So quite often CEOs and founders are dealing with everything. They're dealing with all the team issues. They're spending lots of time working in the business rather than on it. So what we try and do is build elite teams so that they can take over quite a lot of the work the founder's currently doing to allow the founder to focus on growing the business. And we've just been awarded Chartered Management Institute recognition for our framework, which now is an academy where we can train coaches to become CMI accredited coaches, and then they can, if they want, build a business under the Is This You brand. So they've got a business in a box, as we like to call it, or they can go off on their own, but having learned all of the actual lessons and modules and framework they need to have a really successful coaching company.
Yeah, very, very good. Well, it's very well thought out. I think what you do, like you and the co-founders, you've got lots of experience in this world, and I've obviously heard you talk about it and the different programs that you offer. But having that extra element, the accreditation, I think is a really exciting different side to what you're doing, because there's lots of people who want to be a coach, but they don't necessarily have the framework around it, or when there's how do people choose which coach to go with as well? And it's if you've got that accreditation underneath it and a team like you and the guys behind it, then that's going to give them a bit more confidence.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as well, it's the lived experience. I mean, we've all well, the four founders or the four co-founders have all come from either elite sports or they've built businesses up to seven figures, and quite often they've done both. So I'm not the sports guy. You might be able to tell I'm not the sports guy, but I've built two seven-figure businesses, and I've been on a roller coaster entrepreneurial journey, and you can read about that in my new ebook. So I'm doing a quick plug there. So I'm doing an ebook detailing a bit more of my story. So I've had the ups and the downs. So we're sharing our knowledge and experience, which is, I mean, we'd never coach on something that we haven't actually done or been through. But then, yeah, absolutely. It's kind of having the framework then recognized by the CMI. It's been really important. It's took me a year to get that. But now we've got that official stamp. We feel that we're on another level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, we can share some links. So if people want to know more about both Is This You and the coaching program, how do they find out?
Yeah, it's up in the corner there. Hopefully it's the right way around. Is this-you.com. But I'm very active on LinkedIn. I mean, a lot of people are sick of seeing my bald head appear on LinkedIn.
I think they get confused. They're not sure if it's you or me. Or,
yeah. So, I mean, we're only 5 minutes in, and we're probably already going to talk about Baldies Unite. But yeah, connect on LinkedIn. We've got a survey on LinkedIn at the moment, so it's on my page. Visit my website, and it sort of takes you through whether you're looking to be coached or become a coach. And it looks at your experience, and then it gives you a personalized report as to, you know, the potential from either way that you want to work with his issue. And that's proven really successful at the moment. So things are going really well.
Good, excellent. Well, I know, like, your co-founders, I've met. I think I've met all of them now, but I think you make a really strong team. You know, complementary skill sets, but also personality types as well.
Yeah.
And I think, like, the startup scale up week event, on the final day, you did a talk, and I thought you were brilliant, genuinely brilliant at that.
Thank you.
High energy, like very motivational, inspirational. And then that was followed by a little bit more of a calm talk by Phil Gray. I think that works really, really well, because you're like there, like, getting people excited and motivated, and then he comes in and is not to say that you can't be like that or he can't be like you, but I think that works really, really well. Like the two types, that sort of calm sort of assurance of Phil saying, "All right, this is how I've done it, or this is some things that you can put into place." I think people get that from you as well. But do you know what I mean? I think, like, you too.
Yeah, I totally get it. And Pete, that's the thing most people talk about is kind of the energy I bring and that kind of thing. And yeah, there's an absolute place for that. And then I've got, I think, a really sort of well-rounded, powerful story as well, which I can share and then bring in the framework. But Phil, I think, brings that you know, that real kind of he's almost like a professor. So he brings that kind of professorial approach, if you like, and I think it works really well. I mean, we do all our events together, you know, and it works well, the different sort of styles. So yeah, it's a good combination, I think, and thank you for your compliments.
Well, you're good mates, or your best mates as well.
We are. We've been mates for 35 years. God, 35 years. Yeah.
You don't look old enough, but yeah.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I wasn't fishing.
So let's go back a step. So when I first met you, so I was working as a part-time business advisor with the BIC as well. So that was last January till April, and I was trying to get my business going again, and I was just trying to do that all in one day on a Friday, which was difficult. But it got to a point where that was just taken up. I needed a bit more time on my business, but we continued to work with the BIC and got good relationship and refer work to each other and everything. But you'd already been doing that role for about a year, I think, when I met you. So how have you noticed things change in Sunderland or in the landscape in that year or the past 2 years?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, massively so. I think we touched on it in the platform event. You know, it's like 40 years of development and generation or regeneration going on in 5 years in Sunderland at the moment, and it's just super exciting. So when I first came to the BIC, I'd come off the back of I talked about it in my book, but I'd come off the back of I built a 7-figure business and I lost it in 2008 due to the financial crash, because it was a property business, and I go into a bit more detail in the book. But yeah, that's what happened. So it took us a while to pick myself up, and I built another business and built that to 7 figures, thankfully. But again, I was just talking about it today. I realised on the day my son was born, just before I got the call to say to go into hospital, I'd slept that night in the warehouse, covered in KFC wrappers and solar panels, and I just thought, you know, what is going on here? I've just gone all out to gain back, I suppose, the financial element, but also the identity as a businessman, as a successful entrepreneur. And I'd gone all out again, and I had no balance in my life, so I had to exit that. And thankfully, I'd learned the lessons from the first business, so I had to exit. And went back in a property where I thought, I'm pretty stable. And then COVID hit. So yeah, it was that was bad for the market. So I came out of COVID, and like I said, go into further detail in the book, so I'll not go into all of that. But I came out of COVID needing a new direction entirely, and I needed to make that move. And I knew I wanted to help people and support people, and I knew I had a lot of experience, and I love talking to people. And the BIC, I saw an advert for a part-time business advisor. And I thought, I'm going for this. This is a total change in direction. It's a risk because I was coming out of a fairly successful business. But I thought, right, I'm going to do it because I've got to exit property and all the ups and downs of the economy and all that kind of thing. And I've never looked back. I've loved every minute of it. What an amazing team at the BIC. I've been involved in so many amazing projects, like the veterans RV. So we looked at veterans, and we built some veterans up from maybe not knowing what they were going to do in their lives to having a business and then scaling a business, and now they're based here, and a couple of them are looking for investment, and it's just amazing to see that whole journey. And then the investment in the city itself, 2 billion of regeneration happening on the banks of the Wear. You can see it every day. You can see the cranes, it's the skyscrapers going up. It's amazing. And so I've been quite involved with the Inward investment team, and new projects like Music City. I've been involved in that. I've been involved in, to some extent, in esports. So much going on in the city, and obviously Crown Studios. I know we've had a wee setback in the last week or so, but I'm sure that can be overcome, and we've got the right team involved to actually ensure that is overcome. And we've got the first phases of the development happening now. It's happening now, So loads of positivity. I think the city's looking for a really bright future, and I'm excited to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I think there's lots of people involved, but I think you are an important part of that, because we talked about it a little bit in the platform event today. We had Stephen Lewis-Elms, the counsellor, the rapping counsellor, who he's a counsellor, he's a performing artist, but he's also got his own business, and he's actually a client of yours as well, helping to grow that business. But he's a great storyteller. You need people who are genuinely passionate and excited about Sunderland and the Northeast, who can be advocates and ambassadors locally, regionally, nationally, internationally as well. Absolutely. And if anyone from the council or any politicians are watching this, I think, or listening to this, I think they should make use of people like you and Stephen and other, including me.
And you, Paul. I was just going to say, and you.
We're here. We want it to be successful, but we're well known locally and regionally. Yeah. But we can't just be talking to each other. Like, we've got to get that message out nationally, internationally as well. So that's something that the Northeast generally, I don't think, has been very good at over the years. It's getting that message outside the region. So I think more of that, where we send delegations down to London, internationally, selling Sunderland, selling the region to people. Absolutely. More would help, definitely.
100%, because the perception further south it's not reality, and I think when people do come up, and your event was amazing, the Start and Scale Up Week, because it brought people from out of the region. I think you were saying it was 2/3 of people out of the region.
It was just under 2/3 of the people came from outside of Sunderland, which I was really, really happy with.
Fantastic. I mean, we can't have enough people coming here and seeing what there is to offer, and especially if they've been before. If they came 5-6 years ago, or even earlier, it's unrecognizable. And it's wonderful when people come and they can't believe what's happening in Sunderland. And it's huge thanks to the council are really innovative, and they're getting things done. But the whole network of Sunderland businesses is like something I've never been a part of before. So supportive, everyone supporting each other. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed. I don't feel like there's competition in Sunderland. It's all collaboration. It's we're all aiming for the same goal. And I totally agree. I think we need to get that message out for far and wide. And And if you saw my presentation on Friday, you can say I can speak fluent Mandarin now and all these different languages. So yeah, there's the opportunity is there. The means are there to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you saw. So there were 3 Chinese delegates there on the Monday. So quite senior people from a Chinese organisation there. So they met up with the Sunderland Council. So where that came about, that's through a mutual friend who also spoke at the Startup Scale Up Week event. They asked me to do an event for them in November, which was a platform event with them. And we did that in Newcastle. That was their first ever UK event. They do a lot of stuff in Shanghai and Germany and US, but they've never done anything in the UK. But because I was telling them about all the stuff going on in Sunderland, they were like, oh, well, let's come back and we'll have a closer look. So they came just to the day one inspiration event, loved it. What a great event, great showcase for the city, met key people at the council. They want to do work. Like this big investment fund, an accelerator program wants to partner with Sunderland and the Northeast. So that's a big opportunity there. 100%. We've got to make the most of these types of opportunities and grasp them with both hands, I think.
I totally agree, Paul. I think you know that's why your UK Startup Scale Up Week is so important to be in Sunderland, because you are reaching far and wide, and having that delegation coming from China was incredible. And you know the brilliant work that Phil Blacklock does as well. I mean, he's had delegations coming from all over the world into the city. The great work David Patterson and his team's doing, the business investment team, bringing delegations into the city and seeing what is here, because our tech scene is thriving. Our esports alone is a bigger industry worldwide than film and film and music together. So there's so much going on, and Sunderland is going to be the home of British esports. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have one of the best facilities in the world. So mm-hmm. it's incredible with that ecosystem of businesses, from going circulating around esports and Crownworks and Music City is incredible. So, mm-hmm. and not just the artists, but the whole creative sector around it, and all the other support networks and the other businesses that can support that ecosystem. It's so exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you've probably heard this before, but I've been to Sunderland a lot over the years just for meetings. I've come to one-off meetings or events, but I've not really spent a lot of time in Sunderland until 2 years ago. So two years ago, when I met my partner, he was originally from South Shields, but she bought a house in Sunderland just before I met her. So because of that, it's her fault. Like, it's cliche stereotype. I've said I fell in love with her and I fell in love with Sunderland, right? Because that does tend to happen. People move around for love or family or job, work, obviously. But when I was coming up, I was like, bloody hell, there's like so much going on. It's like really genuinely exciting. So the more I looked, the more I saw. And then, I'm curious. I'm interested in lots of things anyway. But the more I looked, I was just like, there's loads of opportunity here. I want to be part of this. It was exciting for me as someone who's like a startup, small business guy. I wanted to be on the ground, being part of that story, helping to grow the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the city. So like you, when I saw that the BIC was looking for a business advisor, I thought, well, this is a great way for me to get involved and not only give back and support, but also build my network in Sunderland, which was good, but not as strong as other parts of the region or other parts of the country. But the BIC was a fantastic organisation to do that in. Genuinely exciting projects that they're working in, right in the thick of things. And I felt really welcome and embraced by the city and the people from the very beginning. So since I moved to Sunderland last January, and I love it. I genuinely love living and working here, and my business is now based here in Sunderland as well. It's a regional focused business, but it's headquartered in Sunderland. and it's internationally focused as well. And I think I would encourage more people to be like that.
100%. And yeah, like you say, the BIC it's just wonderful. You know, we're businesses are moving here all the time. We're very high levels of occupancy, but you know, there's always some transition, so there's always some space available. But more and more businesses are coming here, and they come here for the community as well as the practical space. You know, we've got offices of all sizes, we've got free parking, but the community is fantastic, and the facilities are amazing, and you get access to the big team, you know, and I think that's really important, because having that outside view of your business and having somebody coach and mentor you, I think is absolutely worth its weight in gold. Certainly something I needed when I was going through my struggles with losing the business. I needed that coaching. I needed somebody to guide and give me belief and make me accountable. And that was a big thing. So, and I think that's part of what the BIC can do, and very much what Is This You does. So that's how we work with our clients. But it's kind of, it's a full wraparound service that we've got here. So there's no better place to have a business.
No, I genuinely think I think it's changing here. Like, people are taking another look at it, and that's what, if people who might have been to Sunderland in the past or left Sunderland and thought, there's nothing for me there, I think they need to take another look, like take a closer look. People in Sunderland as well, because like it's been described to be like a bit of a donut, where the city centre, there's not many people live there. Most people live on the outskirts, and there's a lot of people who've not been in the city centre for a long time. So because they're not seeing all these new developments, they don't realise what's going on. But when you see it and you hear it, you can feel it in the air. And there's cranes everywhere. There's new developments. It's genuinely exciting, but it's not just about the shiny buildings as well. It's what goes on in those buildings. That's why you need events, obviously, and you need networking and stuff. But since I've moved here, and I want to I spend money locally. I support cafes, restaurants, bars, local independence as much as I can. There's actually a very entrepreneurial scene, particularly of food and drink in Sunderland. There's some fantastic coffee shops and cafes and restaurants in and around Sunderland city centre and Roker Beach and Seaburn and elsewhere, other parts of Ashbrook as well. It's lush to see.
So there is so much going on, and I think, you know, we've had to, in Sunderland, we've had to develop that entrepreneurial spirit after you know, obviously everyone knows, you know, what happened you know, when we lost all the heavy industry, and I think we've had to be entrepreneurial, and that's coming to the fore. And I you know, there was a report done a year or so ago that Sunderland was the startup capital of the country, and you know, that certainly, you know, we can see that with startups happening all around the city in all different sectors. But it's so it is. We're very entrepreneurial, and we're very friendly and supportive. And I think that's the thing that strikes people. It's the people. You're right. It's not just the shiny buildings. It's the people, and it's the spirit we've got. But then you need to have those shiny buildings and new venues for those people to stay in the centre and like that, get around that donut issue. And we've got that happening. We've got new venues coming up all the time. We've got once a footbridge is in, connecting the two sides of the river. That's an amazing walkway between everything going on one side and the other. And then there's you know, there's about 1,500 houses being built around that area, as well as, you know, lots more retail, lots more incentives to be in the city centre. So I think, and Culture House, we've got to mention Culture House. I think that is going to be an absolute tourist destination. I think that's going to be incredible. So can't wait for that to open. And you and I are on the big screen outside Culture House, aren't we? Twice a day, every day.
No, that was lush. That so for anyone that doesn't know, so Culture House, they commissioned some artists, some video content creators and digital artists and filmmakers to do some some pieces for a huge digital screen outside Culture House in Keele Square, right in the heart of the city. And one of them is friends of ours, Howl Media, who've chosen to relocate their business to Sunderland because of all the things that are going on in the city. But they did this beautiful piece called Sunderland, It's a Vision Thing, where they commissioned a poet, an award-winning poet, to do a piece about Sunderland and the spirit of Sunderland. And you did the voiceover in your best posh Mackem accent, and you did a fantastic job with that. Like,
still nobody believes it was me. I went to the Franz Ferdinand gig at the fire station the other night, and I was walking past the big screen with my pal. We've been friends for 40 years, and he didn't believe it was me.
Was it playing it when you walked past as well?
Yeah, it was playing when I walked past. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It's the second voiceover I've done, and I've really enjoyed it. And I do love the public speaking and being on stage in general. But shout out to Chris and Izzy Howell. They did an amazing job with that, and we're really pleased to welcome them to the BIC. They've fitted into the business community so well, and they give a lot back as well. So well done, you guys.
Well, they're exactly the type of business. Well, we want businesses like that in Sunderland, don't we? So they've been inspired, they've been excited, they've seen what was going on. They had a successful business already in Barnard Castle, but they wanted to be part of a city, like a thriving community of entrepreneurial activity and business growth, and they've seen it. They've been using the events, the platform events, the BIC events, the Is This You events to see what's been going on, and then they thought, this is the place where we need to be. And the Crownwork Studios, that's part of it. They want to be part of that supply chain, but even now that might still take another couple of years to really come to fruition. But they're in there now. They're part of that supply chain, that ecosystem already, and there's others like them who are wanting to establish or grow their business in the area because of that.
Totally, and the amount of jobs that are going to be created or sustained through Crownworks is huge. And we've had a bit of a setback, but that's a timing thing. We will build that. So it's really important for everyone to stay positive and I read an article after that was announced, and there was some negativity around it, and you just think, well, there's so much positivity in Sunderland. Let's not look at the negative. Let's have belief, because I think for so many years there was no belief, but now believe, because it is happening, and we've seen it every day. So it's important to stay positive and think, it's an obstacle, it's a hurdle, but sometimes the obstacle is the way forward. So we need to stay behind it, and we need to work as hard as we can to make it all happen.
I like your little Stoic reference there. The obstacle is the way.
That's in there.
That was good. I think it's about keeping the momentum up. One little blip isn't the end of everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like there was definitely throughout last year, I would say, it felt like there was just bloody hell, another big story, another new development, a new project, another new big investment, a new exciting business opening. Like it felt like it was just like relentless in a good way, just like wow, like another and there's still things happening. It's just got to keep highlighting them, and that does make a difference, because subliminally, whether people are reading it or not, it just does seep into the local psyche. If people keep reading positive stories, things like Sunderland getting promoted, obviously, to the Premier League.
Can't believe we've nearly gone 30 minutes.
I know. Well, but that is massive. That is important, because it does affect the mood of a city and a region. When football, it's full of highs and lows. Like every weekend, every week there's highs and lows. But when a club does well, people have an extra spring in their step. They feel happier. They feel more positive about it when it's doing badly. That does bring people down a bit. It has a massive effect on the mood of a local area. So let's ride that wave. Like let's use that as extra leverage on top of all the other stuff that was already happening. Even if Sunderland wasn't doing well as a football club, there's so much good happening in the area that people can build on and use as leverage to grow their business or get investment or get people to start a business, grow a business, relocate. So much can come from it. So we just got to keep getting those messages out.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, Premier League status, wow, we're going to have the eyes of the world on us. And there's so much more investment coming in because of that Premier League status. So it is, for me, it was a kind of the last piece of the jigsaw. We had almost everything else. And then that Premier League status just cemented everything. And I mean, let's see what happens. Who knows? But, we're looking that we've got big ambitions in our transfer policies at the moment. And, I think everybody's taking a look at us and saying, wow, this is ambitious. And that's not always been the case with Sunderland. People haven't really kind of thought we were an ambitious city in the past. And I think that is what we've brought. We are ambitious now, and you can see it all around when you walk through the city. It's an ambitious city now, and you have to have belief to be ambitious, and you have to go for it, and you have to take the twists and the turns and the ups and the downs. And I think, we have, and now we are seeing far more positive than negative coming out. And, one little setback doesn't mean that, it's not happening. It is happening.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've noticed that as well when the guys at the council, very, very entrepreneurial, very proactive, very forward thinking. I've worked with lots of different councils over the years, and I would definitely say Sunderland is the most proactive and most entrepreneurial, and they're just getting shit done, which is great to see. But I've heard the senior leadership speak at events and come away like really, really impressed with them and the messages that they're saying and the confidence that they're talking with. Peter McIntyre, isn't he? He's the director of Place or something like that. So he's like leading a lot of the new developments in the city, and very impressed with heard him speaking. He was saying in the past, Sunderland has been guilty of having a room full of like big ideas and policies which never saw the light. We never really saw them through. But he said, now if you hear about something in the press, it's going to happen. It's definitely happening. It's already happened. We don't talk about things publicly unless it's definitely happening. So that gives me even more confidence when I hear about positive things. Like, well, right, it's happening, and you can see it. It is. But these are people who have experience doing this sort of thing before, so they bring that extra belief to the people who maybe haven't done that before. These are people. There's some key people who have done this before. They know what they're talking about. They know what it takes. So let's trust them and let's go with them. So everyone just has to get on board and get behind it.
Absolutely, true delivery now, and we are delivering. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about the football, right? Because I think obviously great. Like I do still think that is a strength and a weakness of the region, like the Northeast, is like it is still a bit of a barrier, like to the success of the region.
You mean the divide, the divide that football?
The football rivalry, because I mean, I like football, right? I'm not going to say who I support with anyone. I just support everyone, right? But I know some of my best mates are like really into one club and others are into another club, and I just act like I'm neutral, right? But I'm not really. But anyway, I was genuinely really, really happy when Sunderland got promoted. I watched the match, and I was like really, like, as someone who's wants the city to do well and is involved in a lot of the new like startup, scale up activity, that was important. But I'm still surprised how many people won't even look at Sunderland or even Newcastle because
Yeah.
they're a football fan. And I understand the big rivalry. There's a big history there, right? That is important. That's a big part of people's lives. But like, what do you think about that? About holding the city back?
Yeah, what I think about that is that, you know, I love the rivalry on a football sense, in a football sense only. I love the rivalry. I mean, the three directors is this you are Newcastle fans. You know, one of them used to play for Newcastle in the Premier League, Dave Barrell. One of them is chief executive of Newcastle United Foundation. So I'm the only Sunderland supporter. I'm the only founder, and I'm on the board. But I'm loud enough, you know. I think I balance it off.
You can hold your own. You can hold your own.
Yeah, but you know, in a football sense, I love it because I love the banter, I love the rivalry, I love all of that. But I think it just needs to be left at football because we need to rise up as the Northeast. You know, we've got enough pressure on us to do that. We've got enough of a rivalry maybe with further south, and there is a north-south divide. I think we need to come together as the Northeast and, you know, pool resources. We've got brilliant people in both Sunderland, Newcastle, and all the other surrounding areas, not to leave anyone out. But we have some brilliant people and brilliant ideas and brilliant businesses. So let's rise up as the Northeast. But I do want to keep the football rivalry because I think it's fantastic. You know, it's so much fun. But we can keep it fun and passion and banter, and that's as far as it should go for me. You know, and I think that's we should park it there. But we have so much fun, and you know, it's a rich seam of humour. So, and I think I'm all for that. But yeah.
It's important. You know, it's regional identity, local pride. Like you don't want to lose that. That is really important. I think it's about your audience as well. So like if you're talking to a local audience, this stuff really matters. If you're talking to a regional audience, shouldn't matter as much. If you're talking nationally or internationally, it really doesn't matter. Like if you're talking to these like guys from China, they want to know how easy is it to get to from Shanghai? How easy is it to get to from London or Edinburgh or whatever? Like to them, it's a tiny island, or US. You know, they're like, okay, like has this got people, businesses, resources, buildings, infrastructure? Okay, is the price right? They don't care about that sort of stuff. And I think my take on it is it's when you've got a lot of things that are public sector led, that's where the problem is, because much as we say Sunderland City Council is very entrepreneurial forward thing, they can't really support or promote things in Newcastle, just like Newcastle Council can't promote or support things in Sunderland. So when it's a council led initiative or a public sector led initiative, that's a problem. And that's like you've seen it with the funding as well. Like it's if you live in one area, you can get some funding. If you live in the next village, you can't. And it's daft, really, isn't it? But so yeah, that's my take on it. When it's public sector should be there to remove barriers, to support, to create the infrastructure, to get behind businesses. But it's got to be entrepreneurial led. It's got to be private sector led. The development of private sector on business has to be private sector led with support of the public sector.
Yeah, and I think next year, you know, when the Northeast Combined Authority holding the funds and then they're distributing more of the funds, then hopefully, you know, we'll look at the region as a whole. And certainly, you know, this region needs to be playing on a national and international and global playing field, not infighting between ourselves, you know. So it is important, Paul, and you know, but I mean, I think it can be a really good thing because I love presenting in Newcastle. And when I do, I use that rivalry to, you know, to get a bit of, you know, audience participation. And because you're on the stage, I'm on the stage, I've got a little bit more of a voice, so I can put a few barbs in there and a bit of background. But I love it. It's all, you know, it's rich and it's important. But yeah, definitely on a national level, international, global level, we need to come together as a region, you know, and sort of fight for the benefit of the Northeast.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've been interested in this stuff for a long time, and like many years, well, about 10 years ago, actually, I worked for an organisation called Tech North, which is a government organisation. They originally set something up called Tech City, which was about promoting London as the best place to start and grow a tech business, right? And when that was off the back of the Olympics, and at the time, everyone was like, London's a terrible place to start a tech business, but they told the story, the narrative was strong, the national government got behind it, there's loads of money put into it, and eventually people started believing the hype. Startups started moving to Shoreditch area, east of London. Big businesses moved in, and that it was like a gentrification, inward investment thing. And London is now seen as the biggest and best tech hub in Europe, right? But it wasn't always that case. But that's the importance of story and narrative and genuine funding and backing by the public sector. But they set up Tech North to because all these northerners were like, well, we've got a thriving tech industry up here already. What about us? So they set this up, Tech North. So I was community engagement and partnerships manager for Tech North. So every week I was in Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Hull, Sunderland, Newcastle. That was my patch. Too big, really. But what we set out to do at the beginning was figure out, okay, what makes the North, what unites the North, and what's unique about each of these locations. Because it's not just one homogenous mass. Liverpool is different to Manchester, it's different to Leeds, different to Sheffield, Hull, Sunderland. There are strengths and weaknesses of all of them. But what you did notice was Manchester and Greater Manchester did a really, really good job of promoting the whole of the Greater Manchester region nationally and internationally, much better than the Northeast does or did. They still do a better job than we do. And there's a reason why Manchester and Greater Manchester is now considered the London of the North, because they've got it, they've got behind it, they've understood the value of publicly uniting behind a bigger brand. Privately, they have the arguments and they have the rivalries, but publicly, they've got behind that Greater Manchester brand. And what I've noticed since then, Yorkshire is doing that really well now. Again, better than we are in the Northeast. And I was at an event earlier this week where the chief executive of, I think it was Leeds Council and the mayor of West Yorkshire, I think, they were so good on stage at selling that vision of a united Yorkshire.
Absolutely.
Better than we are still in the Northeast.
A lot we can learn from that. Yeah. 100%.
So it's just to say, if anyone is in a position we just need to publicly get behind this bigger brand of the Northeast. Privately, we can have our rivalries.
We'll have our little our little digs.
But yeah, it's exciting times. There's lots to go after, and well, you know what we've been doing with platforms. I think the Northeast, we're in a unique position. So we've been doing the events in Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, and Edinburgh. So that we've got a geographical advantage over other parts of the country at how close we are to Edinburgh and Glasgow. It's only an hour and a half on the train to Edinburgh. The Scots quite like the Northeasterners. They're not so keen about other parts of the country, but they quite like the Northeasterners.
We're getting in there.
Yeah, quite similar sort of temperament. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to connect the
definitely, Paul.
It's in Scotland.
I want to get certainly with yourself, get more involved in platform in Edinburgh. And as part of this year, we're trying to spread our reach nationally and globally. We've got a kind of a hub in Manchester, and we've just taken on our first coach in Dubai, so that's exciting. And been working with Phil Blacklock, who does, I think, an amazing job. The Department of Trade. Phil, if I got that wrong, I think it's the Department of Trade. But he's absolutely amazing. So he's hooked me up with with some influential contacts in the Paul Lancasters of Dubai, and yeah, a few industries and to look into. So it's interesting. I think more we could do with more of the trade visits as well, because I think the funding's been pulled for the trade visits for this year because we're in a bit of a transition year. But I think they're really important. And I know there's colleagues in different businesses and clients I've got in different businesses who have broken into international markets with help from Phil and the trade visits. So yeah, I think all for that. But yeah, I think gradually, and like you say, private sector led, and with the help of organisations like Phil's, we can learn how to do business in other countries. And like you said, you highlighted China and how to do business in China. And I thought that was a brilliant session, because it sort of seems totally overwhelming and outside of your reach when you're working in Sunderland, but it's not really. The technology we've got, everything else that we've got, it's just really how to do it on a cultural level, and what the businesses out there are looking for and how to actually operate and what your practices are. But that can all be learned, and so yeah, let's see things on a more international scale, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I genuinely think Sunderland and the Northeast is just a great place to to base a business, but like think locally and globally as well, nationally and internationally. Yeah, and just to reiterate, Phil, yeah, excellent. He's very good at what he does, very professional. In the past, I've gone out to Lisbon Web Summit and an event called Tech Festival in Copenhagen. And I had some great support from Phil. At the time, there was a little bit of funding which offset the cost. So instead of just going to one of those events, I could go to both of them.
Yeah.
But he also provided me with key contacts, so I could set up some meetings in advance and build up my relationships in those other countries in advance and have people to speak to when I got out there. So yeah, like him and his colleagues are excellent at doing that. If anyone is in the Northeast or in the UK and wants to grow their business internationally, definitely speak to the I always get this wrong. Was it Department for Business and Trade?
Yeah, I think so. I always kind of have a little stumble on that, but Phil Blacklock on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to get it.
They keep changing the name, don't they? I think since I've known him, they've had 3 or 4 different names of the organisation, but it's the organisation that helps British businesses trade overseas.
Absolutely.
In Edinburgh, actually, we're working with the equivalent organisation.
Right. Okay.
Called Scottish Enterprise.
Oh, brilliant.
So Scottish Enterprise is exactly the same. It's this Scottish government version that's been set up to help Scottish businesses trade overseas.
Fantastic.
So they've been coming to the events and they're keen to do more together. And it looks like our next platform event in Edinburgh is going to be at their office in the 3rd Friday in September.
Oh, right. Lovely. I need to get that in the diary because I need to be up there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you can come to that, I would definitely come up. You can either come up in early morning or the day before, the night before. But it's they're really, really good at what they're doing. They're very supportive of international trade. Good, lot going on up there that we can learn from and work with.
Brilliant. And I think that's it. It's learning from, there's so many events now in Sunderland. There's so much support. And then in the Northeast as well. I mean, I'm probably guilty of it as well because I'll focus on Sunderland because that's where I'm working most of the time. But there's so much support in the region. And if nobody knows everything, and go along and get the information and make the contacts, because it's amazing how doors open up when you make the right contacts, and the community, the business community is so supportive. So I think, I mean, check out all there's the Chamber of Commerce, the Entrepreneurs Forum, there's Phil's organisation, as we've said, in Sunderland we've got the Professionals Network. There's platform happening everywhere. There's Is This You events. There's big
Growth,
events.
Growth Lab. Let's talk about Growth Lab. Yeah.
Growth Lab. Wow, I absolutely love Growth Lab. It's I would say, help me kind of almost break out onto the sort of event scene, really. And I absolutely love hosting Growth Lab along with my glamorous colleague Debbie Simpson. I know Debbie will be listening. We get called the Ant and Dec of the business world, and we got asked if we were going to get a morning show like Richard and Judy the other day, which I'm totally up for. Anybody got any contacts? But yeah, it's brilliant. We love these events. It's the really. We bring the fun into business. I think there's a lot of fun there. We've had everything from professional wrestlers turned Facebook geniuses coming out and doing ring walks and slapping hands to. On Friday we had an AI clone of myself who looked a bit like Rimmer from Red Dwarf for a little while, and speaking Mandarin and doing trade in China. And yeah, the Growth Lab events are amazing. I think the next one is September. So keep posted, and go onto the Northeast BIC website and register for Growth Lab information, because those events are fantastic. And we draw. I mean, we had 100 plus people there at the Founders Bar at the Stadium of Light on Friday. You were there as well, Paul, front row, and brilliant events. Absolutely love them.
No, they are great, and I know. So, well, I was still at the BIC when we were getting them off the ground, right. And I've just like the first event was great, and then it just continued. Like the momentum is built, and there's a great community of regulars go to those events. But it's, as the name suggests, it's all focused on helping existing businesses who've got ambition to grow, and they're focused on specific themes. And you and Debbie and the team have done a great job of keeping that momentum going, and genuinely really valuable events to go to from a learning point of view, but a networking point of view, and just motivation and keeping you inspired as well, and having that good community around you of supportive people who want you to do well.
Absolutely. It's like you've got a room full of cheerleaders, it is amazing, and will connect people. I mean, the Super Connector show, we do a lot of connecting up. Yeah, you pull that off well. And we connect everybody. And I mean, it's getting like, it's almost like a family party now when you do an event like Growth Lab, because, you've got relationships with almost everyone in the room, although we're attracting new people all the time. We sent 2 emails and got 120 registrations for Friday. That's the momentum behind it. Yes, the topic was really topical, AI, and and it was a great venue at the Founders Bar at the stadium. But it's that Growth Lab community is really, really strong, and get involved if you haven't already.
Yeah, definitely. So as well as that event, there are other events as well. So definitely, you've already mentioned, go to the Northeast BIC website, and there's like master classes, there's workshops for people who are starting out in business or just dipping their toe in the water, as well as more established events as well. The BIC's just doing stuff all the time, isn't it? You can have one-to-one sessions with you and your colleagues, the other business advisors, who are all brilliant. You're brilliant, but everyone else is brilliant. Everyone's got their own sort of unique style, I think, or specialisms, I would say, or things where they're a bit more interested in certain sectors than others. But yeah, you've got a great team at the BIC. The building itself, like the offices, it's a great place to have a meeting as well, in the atrium, in the coffee shop, free parking, easy to get to, central location. But there's just so much going on around the BIC, and I think you and the team have done a great job, not just in delivering them, but being a lot more outward facing than other organizations are, and even how the BIC has been in the past. You've not been, I don't mean you, I mean like your previous colleagues weren't necessarily able to do that. It was more people came to the BIC, but now people come to the BIC, but the BIC comes to the people as well.
Yeah,
And I think that's
100%.
you've done really, really good job of that in the last couple of years.
Thank you. I do feel that we're at the focal point of the business community, and everything kind of flows a bit through us, and yourself, Paul. It's kind of, and we started the conversation talking about these certain different organisations and people who do connect the dots and connect people together, and when we put on events to come along, because that's where everyone is, and that's where you can meet these people who can further connect you and build your networks. More and more, the network is so important, and building those relationships, it's gold. It's absolute gold, and that is super strong, especially in Sunderland. But I know throughout the region, but obviously my specialist area is Sunderland.
Yeah. So what are you most excited about in the next 6 months? Because we're halfway through the year now.
I know.
From a personal and a professional point of view, or is it just about the football?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the football. Really excited. I'm super excited about what we can do with the BIC. I think it's we've got 6 months really. Well, 9 months until the new sort of funding comes through from the North East Combined Authority, and it'll be really exciting to see what happens with that on a northeastern perspective, rather than just in our sort of pockets like Sunderland and Newcastle and sort of Durham and other areas. And shout out to South Tyneside as well. So I'm working with Kevin Howell from STG in South Tyneside, and we need to sort of include all those areas in everything that's going on. Like you say, have that northeastern perspective. But super excited about what we're doing with this year. The new academy is we've got our first cohort on September the 18th, and we've only got 20 places for the first cohort, because it is the first one we've run, and we want to get it absolutely 100%. Obviously, we've got all the material; it's all been accredited by CMI, but we're looking to close the doors on that first 20 people who want to learn with us and become recognised coaches, and then perhaps build their businesses or their sidelines, or just become accredited. So really excited about that. Excited about what we're doing in terms of our elite teams program. That seems to be going really well. So we're working with CEOs, but then working with the teams, and that's really going well. So it's all good stuff, and I'd like to do personally on a kind of business front more speaking engagements. I just love it, and more keynotes. I've been doing more voiceovers, so yeah, I'm excited about it all, really. And I think that's kind of what we teach is, hey, you get one life, not to get too deep, but try and make it amazing. And if it's not quite, if you're sort of stuck, overwhelmed, whatever it might be, I jump out of bed, I dive out of bed on a Monday morning now. I'm excited about what's going on, but it wasn't like that before. 2 p.m. on a Sunday, I'd get the grip in the chest, and I'd be sort of, oh no, here we go again for Monday. And I'd be just, going through the motions till Friday, having a drink and trying to forget about things, and living for the weekend. But I just live for every day now. And I think that's what we try and teach, is to look at the entire life as well as your business. How can we make every element of that really sort of maximized? How do you get the potential out of it all? And, there's only so many hours in the day. So a lot of what we teach as well is prioritization and scheduling, and focus is huge. So, genuinely excited about everything like that. But really looking forward to going on holiday as well in a few weeks, because I feel like I've been at it non-stop.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's that. I think I learned. I've had my own business since 2016. Like, if anyone's just starting out in business or been in business a long time, your holidays are really important. You've got to book your holidays. You've got to take time out to recharge, spend time with your family and your loved one, or just on your own. I'm a big fan of just having a bit of time on your own as well. Like, because like you, I'm busy. Like, I'm always got people around. I'm running events. I'm always in meetings. We've got 4 kids between us. got my partner, got family to keep it. I quite like being on my own. Something I like, just like I love going to the cinema on my own. Actually, midday that feels like a real treat. I like going for walks.
Little guilty secrets.
It's good. But I'm like you. I'm excited about going on holiday in a few weeks' time.
We nearly go to exactly the same place at exactly the same time on exactly the same day, weren't we? And I think we were both thinking, "Oh, that's not quite being like switching off." If we're both in the same on the same holiday, but we're not quite, are we?
Yeah, no, but I'm really looking forward to having a holiday, and it is important to take time out and look after yourself. But at the same time, like you, I love what I do. Like
and I think that's it.
Yeah, like every day, have a good day.
Yeah.
Obviously, some days are harder than others, and like sometimes you're absolutely knackered. Like it's actually the big event I've just done recently, this startup scale week event. I was working crazy hours, but I knew it was not forever. It was just for a fixed period in time. And then for the past 3 weeks, I've taken it really easy because I've worked really, really hard. I deserve a bit of chill out time. Still working, but like taking it easy, and then back to it now, and then proper holiday in a few weeks' time.
I think that's it, and it's realizing that you need that and blocking it out. I think that, one of the things we teach, and people say like, how do you, get so much done? And when I announced that I'd written the ebook, that, I had quite a few comments saying, "Oh, did you do that in your spare time?" Because they know I work like hard, but it's come through experience, and it's blocking the time out that you need for yourself first, and understanding that you and your health and your family, they are your ultimate priorities, because all the success in the world doesn't make any difference if you haven't got your health and if you haven't got your family. And I learned that kind of the hard way. So, now they are the first things I'll block out, and then you fit everything else around it. And being really, really tight with the schedule, and I think, is how you can maximize every day, but knowing what you're aiming for as well. So, you talked about how hard you worked, and you did. Crikey Moses, unbelievable what you achieved. But it's all for, you've got your ultimate vision of where you want to go, and that picture of where you want to go, and it's all for that. And you're making decisions all the time that are aligned to it. And as long as you're making the right decisions that are aligned in the right way, then you've got that sort of, that's the mission in you. So you know that you're on a mission, you're going to do this, and you know why you're doing it, and the why is so important. But you also know you've got that time blocked out. So I'm going to have 2 weeks easy after that, and then I've got another 4-week sprint, and then I've got my holiday, and that just makes things work so much easier. So I think it's important to realize that, and not just go at it all the time, because you'll just burn out. And
it's not sustainable. You can't I mean, when I think I couldn't do what I was doing in the month or 2 months before the big event forever, because it's just I wouldn't survive it, because
well, to be honest with you, that was amazing. Like how you survived that week, it was incredible. It was brilliant, but you've obviously, you planned in your rest time, you've planned in your sort of your family time, and you didn't end up getting kicked out of your home with Katie. You kicked yourself out and went and lived in a hotel for a week. But I totally understand that.
I knew that. Well, that's experience. I just knew that was the right thing to do. I need to just be totally single-minded, focus on that event for those 5 days, and just be at my best, and just put everything into trying to create the best possible experience for me and everyone else at the event. And then I'll go back to being a good partner and a dad and just a normal person again.
Exactly. And I think, it comes across when you love what you do. I think, the passion comes across, and the energy comes across, and it's genuine. It's genuine that you love what you do, and people want to be part of that, and they want to sort of be in that place, be in that position. And it's great to be able to impart that sort of knowledge and experience of, for me, 30 years in business, and made some mistakes, had some great wins, had some big losses, and just being able to impart that and teach what I've learned, but also what I've learned from I mean, to recover from the loss of my business in the financial crash 2008, I just immersed myself in personal development. You know, there wasn't podcasts then, but it was, you know, it was CDs, it was books, it was just everything I immersed myself into to learn the foundations of how I can recover and how to have that positive mindset and how to structure my life and schedule my life and how to understand myself better and, you know, only do things I really value and that are in line with my values and where I'm heading in life. And that it was so important to do that. If I hadn't done that, I think I probably wouldn't have recovered.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, it's good that you've done that. And I know you're helping a lot of other people do that as well, because a lot of people don't know why they're doing what they're doing or where they're heading, and they just get dragged around like for other people's agendas and other people's values and desires. But yeah, getting really clear on what you want to do and why you want to do it, it's really helpful, because everything you can think to myself, is this going to get me closer to that or not?
Yeah, 100%. Got to ask that question. And it's being strategic in everything you're doing, you know, in your life, in your business. It's being strategic. It's knowing where you want to be and what steps you have to take, and then what resources that's going to take. So, and then, you know, you have to recover. You have to have the right resources and having people around you, having a team. You know, if you haven't got a team, find one. If you know, find a room full of people who inspire you. You know, work. I will say that work with coaches. Doesn't have to be us, can be anyone, but it's kind of going it alone is tough. And you might be a CEO of a company with, you know, 20 employees, but who do you speak to? Who do you bounce ideas off? Nobody knows everything. And, you know, and it's important to have someone you can talk to help you and guide you. Just even for you to be able to see both sides of something and make the right decision that's aligned with where you want to be. It's so important. And without coaching, I wouldn't be where I am today, 100%. It's important stuff. And accountability, wow. I'm still learning lessons in accountability. Still learning after all this time. You know, the thing I struggle with, I think, most is probably my weight. Because like you, I'm at events all the time. I'm at being, you know, at functions all the time. There's always a lot of food around. There's always a lot of drinks around. It's really hard. But having the accountability, so I run accountability groups. So, and this is the superpower, having accountability. So I know I've got to present my stats, my achievements in both business and life, but in weight, which is what I struggle with the most, every other Tuesday. And I am on it now. And it's having that accountability to show up and say, yeah, I've done it. And, you know, I'm not letting the side down. I'm going to do it. And I said on the last group, I want more accountability than just telling people what I'm going to do and doing it. I want to stretch myself. So Phil said I had to, going back to one of the themes earlier, Phil said if you're knocked down to a certain weight by my birthday, which is November 25th, I have to come on to Zoom in a Newcastle shirt. So I asked for ultimate accountability, and now I've got it.
Class. Right. Oh, that's good. Well, you know, you're not a big bloke, are you? You're like you're
no.
You know, so
I'm surprisingly. I mean, I used to cycle a lot. I used to do like sort of 150 miles in one session and things like that. I used to be super fit. And that's where I want to get to, because I remember sort of very early in this journey, it was all about, you know, your future self and sort of where do you want to be and, you know, what do you want to be doing age 70? And I want to be, you know, climbing mountains and stuff when I'm 70. So allowing myself now to slack off is not going to help me achieve that at all.
No.
And it's that future self stuff. It's kind of like, where do I want to be? And I know where I want to be. You know, I know where I want to be in business, in life. I'll never retire. I never want to. I want to do what I love. But I also want to, you know, have that place abroad where I can get out into the mountains. And I can't do that if I slack off now. If I let my health and my sort of fitness slack off now. So, and that's what has kind of slacked off because I have been so busy. But that's that whole wheel of life that we teach, you know, and balancing everything out. Is to making sure that you've got to trigger tell you when you are slacking off in certain areas, and maybe, and what I have to do is you have to compromise sometimes. So I'm going to have to compromise on the time I'm putting into the business in order to ensure that my health and fitness is where I want to be. Yeah. But I know the business will get there. It's just maybe it'll take a wee bit longer, but at least I'll be fit and healthy and ready to go and able to handle that when I get there. So it's important to step back and look at your life and sort of do that reflection piece. It's amazing how many people don't put the time aside. No. And that's why I think certainly the coaching, I think there's some stats out there that you're 95% more likely to achieve a goal if you set accountability appointments with someone else. And that's what it does, because when you set coaching appointments in your diary, you know that for that hour or however long it is, you are going to work on you and your life, and you're not going to work in your business, you're going to work on it, and you work on all those things. But unless you set the time aside to do it, life gets in the way, business gets in the way, family gets in the way. And I found that is super important to block that time out to work on yourself and be the best you can be, that kind of thing. So it's working well.
Good. Well, keep at it. Yeah, it's all about prioritizing it. Like, you've got to prioritize it, and it's obviously sounds like it's important to you for where you are now and the future you. So, we've got another bald role model in Jeff Bezos. I mean, he's pretty buff now, but he didn't used to be. He used to be unhealthy looking, but as he's got older, he's obviously hitting the gym. He's looking after himself. Jeff Bezos, another bald, another role model for us.
So speaking of baldies, Paul. So Baldies Unite, what's all that about?
Well, we'll quickly talk about it. So we have done 2 podcasts. We're waiting for the second one to go out. I don't know whether
we'll have to shout out to Chris Howell. Where's episode 2?
Chris Howell. I know he's been very busy because he did have a very busy month. But there is already a Baldies Unite Bald in Business podcast. If you search for Howell Media, HOWELL Media on your podcast player, you'll find that podcast, and then there should be another one coming out soon.
Yeah. So and we did it live, didn't we, Paul, at the Stadium of Light? So that was interesting. So we hadn't done it live on stage before. Not bad for our second one. So it was
fun. A lot of fun to do. So it's but the common denominator is just bald business people.
It's baldies in business, but you don't have to be bald to listen to it, because there's something there for everyone. There's business nuggets, and there's fun, and there's humor, and there's a bit of baldy advice as well. So exactly. So it's something for everyone. I think I get loads of good feedback. So it's great. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, this is maybe the third. This is maybe an unofficial Baldies Unite podcast.
One, yeah.
We'll include the hashtag when we share it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Great, John. Always love talking to you. I think we'll leave it there. And
love it, mate.
Yeah. So for anyone that's been watching, thank you for watching. If you've been listening, thank you. This is available on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on our YouTube channel, the UK Startup and Scale Up YouTube channel. And on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Spotify, Spreaker, you name it. It's all available. So follow, subscribe, and spread the word. But thank you, John.
Thank you, Paul. I've loved it. Thank you very much, mate. Really, really enjoyed your company.
All right. Cheers. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks,
bye.
Bye. Bye.